This
Well,
conference will now be recorded.
there we go. We're recording now. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to get in front of you guys this evening. The agenda you all, I believe, have seen. Very basic presentation style I'm going to go over tonight. The biggest point that I want to get across to you guys is delivering data and maps in a format that is no longer difficult or boring for you to look at and make educated decisions about your community. We're going to walk through what we define as the GIS system, how we use it, and how we can help the city of Anderson use data and maps a little bit better to educate yourselves, the public, and make some decisions based upon true data, true facts, no opinions. Obviously, you can tell stories with data, but it's an amazing thing. I want to go over what all is available to use to go into the analytics to create some smart mapping applications, ways of delivering that content as far as traditional style maps, web and mobile, and then we're going to go into this new platform of mapping applications that we're calling dashboards. I've shown them at several of our COG board meetings. They are powerful, they are easy to use, and they can update based upon whatever data you're pumping into them lifetime. And we're going to go through a lot of examples. I want to show you guys how I use it, and once you get the links to be able to use them yourselves, you're comfortable with using them to explore and look at data yourselves, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and jump on over to the presentation. Make sure you guys can see that now. Everybody see the presentation? Okay, so if we missed this, we're going to be just educating and training a little bit on GIS. My name is Paul McBride. I'm the GIS Manager for the Madison County Council of Governments. We are the Anderson MPO. We help fund transportation projects. Federal highway dollars come down through us, and we distribute through our office for those projects. Our role as a GIS department is providing data and maps to communities and the county that are within our planning area. So let's just keep going here with our presentation then. We define ArcGIS as a framework for gathering, managing, and analyzing data. We really are trying to move ArcGIS into very modern, getting away from boring maps, getting away from boring spreadsheets, and producing 3D content, infographics, and like I said, these dashboards for delivering data. We do manage most of the GIS data for the county itself, and we help out with a lot of the smaller communities that can't have their own GIS systems. We feel like we have the ability to provide advanced services to even places like the city of Anderson. City of Anderson does have a GIS, but we feel like we have access to data and are utilizing data in ways that a lot of other places just aren't using. So I also wanted to show you guys our new website for the Madison County Council of Governments. It is looking way better than our old one. On here, you can get to our featured resources that we access the most, but this presentation that I want to go over tonight, we're basically focusing on GIS and mapping. And if you go to that, it will take you to our GIS page on our website. It's really easy to get to. Goes over GIS and then our featured projects and services that we are working on the most.
I can't read the water.
I'm sorry.
I can't read the water from the back.
Okay, ask Susan for help. Okay, sorry. The website is just so much better to use. It takes you directly to something that you might want to look at as far as GIS and featured things that we have out for the public. Some of these dashboards I'm going to be showing you are already linked on this new site, and they have a lot of demographic information in them. We will be getting to that here in just a little bit. The two things I want to focus on here at the beginning of the presentation is the data types and then the delivery of those data types that we're talking about. So our three main focus of data that we're going to be talking about this evening is imagery, assets, things that are on the ground, and then demographics, talking about people. We're talking about housing, anything that can be brought in from either census data or other survey types and tied to another asset, whether that be a parcel, that be a zip code, that be a census tract. We're going to be going over all that. Our delivery methods, we're going print, we're doing maps, posters, infographics, web, where we're doing desktop and mobile, where it becomes more interactive, and then this last thing with apps and dashboards, where it's completely a new immersive user experience, if that makes sense. So our first data type that we're talking about was imagery. The Madison County Council of Governments has an image library dating back to 1961. Here you're looking at on this slide a picture of downtown, obviously, in 1961. We can go from 1961 till last week on our last Ortho project flight of 2020. It's quite a robust library. We don't have all of it hosted online because of server resources. We just can't afford to store it all on our web servers. But if anybody needed a customized map and they needed to do some research, it would be no problem for us to accommodate that kind of request. If you're doing research on project or timeline, it's pretty amazing tool. We do have the 1961s available online for viewing. So it's pretty interesting to see how our area has changed through the last, 50, 60, 70 years, even before that on some of our paper maps. The newest form of imagery technology that we are utilizing is from a company called Pictometry. It offers top-down imagery, which is what you're used to seeing on maps if you go to like Google Map or our GIS site if you're researching parcels, but it also allows a image of every location within our MPA, which includes Madison County, Fortville, and Daleville, 4 sides of every parcel in the county. So I can actually rotate that viewer around that location to see anything that I want. I just took a picture of the city building and the new bridge here downtown, so you could kind of see that. That's 3-inch resolution. I can literally tell the color of somebody's hair with it. So it allows for very detailed imaging and looks good for any type of document production. It's just an amazing thing. I was going to sign in so I can kind of show you guys an example. And we go back to 2010 for our coverage on that product. We have 2010, 2013, 13, 15, 19, and 20. So it's quite a robust library of imagery. And like I said, you can see quite a bit of content on this, and all you have to do is pan that image around and you can get that different view of whatever you wanted to see. So if I wanted to see the west side of the city building, I can just click that west direction and I can see that. I can zoom in and even get more detailed imagery of it. Pretty powerful stuff. We have that available to sign up if you wanted to be part of that product licensing through Pictometry. If anybody has any questions about that, obviously I'll be answering questions at the end, but you can email or ask now. Go ahead.
I have a question. How often is this updated? Is this a like right now thing, or is this a?
No.
Did you say? If you said that, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. We have 2010, 13, 15, 2019, and 2020. And
Okay.
we're going to fly again in the spring of 21.
Okay.
The main use for this product is actually the county assessor, because they're looking at properties. So they're generating a lot of revenue with this when they're catching new buildings, pools, porches. I mean, it's a pretty powerful tool for them. So it's partly funded, mostly funded by the Council of Governments, but the county does help out with some match funds for that. So we do offer access to other communities as well. And we have a program where you just pay by the square mile to have access to that imagery to be able to use. The next, actually, in the next probably 2 or 3 months, we're going to be able to have this imagery public on our GIS website though. So that will be very useful for, appraisers, realtors, anybody that's wanting to view that data. They won't have the toolkit with measurements and all that kind of stuff, but the imagery will be available. So it is an awesome product. We also participate in the state Ortho project. This is a project funded by local government, but mainly by the state of Indiana. And they have online, they divide the state up into thirds, and we've participated twice in this. We were flown in 2012 and 2017. So another year of imagery that we have available for research purposes, if you wanted to do change detection and stuff like that. That's what we use those multiple images for, is we're able to deliver the assessor's office where there's changes, whether buildings removed or added. So it's pretty powerful. The other way that we are moving forward with imaging, and that we are finding very useful and cheap for us, is drones. We can create amazing, beautiful images for websites, for advertising, but we can also use it for analyzing corridors, which I don't know if you guys can see this on the screen play or not. Probably not gonna let me. But the version of this presentation online, you'll be able to click on these two videos down here, where we, like this example on the bottom right, we flew the entire corridor of University Boulevard from 32 to 5th Street downtown. That's one of our federal aid projects of University Boulevard, and we wanted to do a before and after flight. And since you can do drones in 4K now, you can export images of wherever you want to be able to show before and afters. It's so powerful. We're doing this for all of our corridor studies. And if, for example, you wanted that to be right now, we could take our drone, even one like this, if you guys can see my little drone, I can go take a new project or new development site in the city of Anderson and could take a picture of it every week, every day if you wanted. And you could see that change of that development site. It's pretty powerful for just even marketing the city of Anderson to show everything that's going on that a lot of people just aren't aware of. So exciting stuff, actually. The other way that we're using images is we're actually driving our own street view. Just like Google Maps, and you can do Street View, we're doing our own, and we're trying to cover the entire county, and we're trying to get it done every other year. So, you know, if you go to Google Maps and you do Street View, there's pictures on there from 2013 still. Those businesses are out of business, the building's not there, everything's changed, signs have changed and everything. And from this imaging, we can upload the software and it can actually extract features for us. So if I wanted to pay somebody to run this AI software, we could extract street signs, fire hydrants, bus stops, sidewalks, curbs, all from these images as we drive the community. And what we do is we have a 4-camera setup on top of our vehicle, and we drive about 25 miles per hour, and it captures a picture every second. And they're geocoding those points as we go. And on the bottom of this, you can see every single one of those dots is a picture. And it's just like Google Maps, and you can click on the arrow, you can rotate in 3D to see all sides of the vehicle of when that was taken. So, you know, again, if there was an area that was just redone or an area that was going to have a new project in it, you could do Street View before and after and do analytics on it before and after that. Last thing for imagery. I know there's a lot of time on imagery, but that's how we get a lot of data. Because if you can't be there on the ground, you can do it remotely, and it's cheaper, and it's so much faster this way. A new thing that we just became was a Matterport customer and service partner. So we're wanting to get into facility management. We can create floor plans, 3D images of buildings, and within that 3D space, you can do measurements. So as part of our ADA transition plan team, we're going in and actually doing detailed mapping of features within facilities that need to have ADA inventories done. Okay, we will keep moving on. Assets. Everybody thinks of assets on the ground as far as GIS as usually pretty typical boring stuff. Parcels are the key in governmental mapping. Everything should and could be mapped back to land ownership. You have boundaries that ties back to assessments, taxes, zoning, land use, permitting. Everything that generates money for municipalities is basically back to a parcel level or an address, but that address sits on a parcel. So everything goes back to the parcel level. That's the most important asset that I can even think about talking to you guys about is making sure parcels are as correct as possible. The other major asset component that we focus on at the Council of Governments is transportation infrastructure, and that is not just roads. We have detailed traffic counts that we count actually for NDOT in 13 counties, and I believe we have up to 1,600 traffic count points in the state of Indiana that we're counting, getting average daily traffic reports for. We also do special counts with cameras and other counting methods for businesses if they want or need for you know, locating where they might want to put their businesses. We also have assets for intersections, for the road center lines, sidewalks, bike lanes, warning and regulatory signage for every community within our planning area. And then we also keep a accident database that dates back to 2013. And we update it monthly. So every month we have an update that we actually push out to an internal website so we can do a safety analysis and how it ties back to engineering of roadways and intersections. It's quite an amazing database and powerful to use if you're trying to make decisions on how to construct roadways. Utilities, we do a lot of mapping for smaller communities with electric, water, wastewater, storm, you name it. If it's underground or above ground, we're mapping it, and with details. We work with the town of Fortville the most with this. They even have underground video of a lot of their main lines, and they're tied to the map. So if you click on that line on the map, you can pull up the video. That infrastructure is very key and time saving when their field crews are out and they no longer have to guess where things are. You can see on the pop-up on the map here is a fire hydrant. You can see the manufacturer, the intersection, the year it was installed, the depth in which it goes down, the gallons per minute, static pressure, residual pressure, the last time that it had a flush date, and the nozzle size. So anything they would ever have to do to that hydrant, they know exactly what they need before they ever go out there. It's just such a powerful tool. The other assets that we focus on are natural features. We do a lot of mapping of trees, drains, ditches, rivers, creeks. With our LiDAR data, we can create contours, which then leads to watershed mapping and floodplains, and then obviously soils, because that has all feeds back into property assessments. So making decisions about people and development with housing and or business all ties back to a lot of why there is a census. The new one is coming out. I don't know if has anybody filled out their census form yet? Please do. It has, okay.
Yes.
If you know anybody, please tell them, fill it out. It is so important to fill it out. Funding sources for a lot of financial aid for students, for low-income families, for non-English speaking families, whether they want to fill it out or not, it's so important that they do, because if they're undercounted, that's underfunded. If that makes sense. I cannot preach this enough. If you are undercounted, you're underfunded. If anybody has any questions about census data, anything at all, please have them call our office. We're like a census hub essentially for our region. Half of my emails come from answering census questions around this time of the year, and then when new data is delivered post-census every 10 years. So, okay, enough of my preaching about filling out the census. It is all delivered back into a geography, into a boundary that I'm sure you've all heard of. If not, we have our 3 main census boundaries that we can actually map back to. Census tracts, which is one of the larger areas. Those are divided into block groups, and then block groups are even subdivided more into blocks. Blocks are the finest geography of mapping for census data. That's where you can get the most detailed data, Not everything can be mapped back to a block, but almost everything can be mapped back to block groups. And when we start looking at dashboards, you'll be able to see all that here in just a little bit. Do I have questions about that? Sometimes I have a lot of questions about those geographies. Yes, no. Okay. When you're thinking about demographics, we have our main groups that we usually think about in analyzing: population, age, race, education, income, employment, health, vacancy of housing, total housing units, if they're owned, rented. There is so much valuable information. The census kind of changed their website. What they used to use was American Fact Finder. It's actually no longer used, and it's at data.census.gov. In that website, I'm gonna bring it over for you guys. Maybe. You can browse by topic. And I encourage all of you to go to this website at some point and think about what you would want to know about the city of Anderson. And you can look at the city as a whole. So you could go to like a consolidated city, and you start narrowing everything down by region. You can do it by the block groups, which I encourage you to do that, because that will allow me to help you fine tune where it's actually at. And you can see as I go through all these steps, it's allowing me to find or narrow down where I want to look at data. So I can choose all block groups within Madison County, and I can search and look at all this data. This isn't helpful to most of you. You're not used to seeing data in this format, and it's really, really boring. And that's what I wanted to talk about, is how we get this boring data into a deliverable package of data into either a printed map, an infographic like this one that we're going to go over in a little more fine detailed description of here in a little bit, or into a interactive web map, or into what we're calling these dashboards. These dashboards are insanely powerful, and you're getting ready to see why. And I'm going to show you this one first. I believe it's going to help you guys kind of visualize what I've been trying to talk about. So what I did was I took those census spreadsheets that I just had up on my screen that are so boring, and I hope everybody can kind of see this okay. But what I did was I downloaded all these spreadsheets and I consolidated them down into individual block groups for the entire city of Anderson. And then I created basically a scoring upon these rankings of percentage of population below poverty status, the unemployment rate, the households receiving SNAP or food stamps, the percentage of housing units that are vacant, and the percentage of people below a high school education. And I summarized all those into the block groups. And like I said, I added them all up and gave them a score. So the higher the score, actually the worse of a the conditions aren't as fair as other locations. in the map, you see the areas in red that are highlighted and the score of those block groups. So if I click on the highest scored block group in the city of Anderson, it now changes my dashboard, and I can see the total population, the makeup of male and female, the race, percentage of housing units that are rented, housing units vacant, 28% below high school, almost 48% of the households are receiving assistance, a low unemployment rate, which is rare, and then a 54% of households live below a poverty status.
Hey, Paul, quick question.
Yeah.
That 34, is that zip 46016 or what zip
Yes.
is? Okay.
Paul,
Over
what
here.
dashboard are you in?
Do what?
What dashboard are you in?
I am in the City of Anderson demographics dashboard. It is
Okay,
on our website.
Okay.
And when this presentation, when I post it up online for people to be able to go to, they'll be able to click on it and explore it themselves. But for decision makers, this takes all those boring spreadsheets and puts it into a format of charts, graphs, and a map that they can see the location of all this data summed up in one place. If I click on the list, it highlights on the map where that block group is, and it changes all my graphs for me. All my statistics change live time based upon my choosing of where I'm at in the city. I can even go over here to the map. There's an arrow. So when you guys start playing with it, you can choose the block group. And when I choose that block group on the map, it's going to automatically change my graphs over here for me. I can go into the Meadowbrook neighborhood and it automatically changes my statistics. Pan the map a little bit more if I want. Here was that number one. That's the highest scored block group in the city. I can zoom out. If I wanted to go and click on one of the better neighborhoods, I can see the income change dramatically because I'm also providing household income and its breakdown within that block group. So do I have questions on this?
I do have one quick question.
Absolutely.
Under race, the bluish color.
Yes,
I don't know, what race group does that represent?
that is
Okay,
black. If
okay,
you hover over them, they're going to always tell you the statistic and what they are if it doesn't show it on the screen.
Okay.
So
Thank
like this block group actually doesn't have anything listed in census data other than white and black. But if we go into downtown, it's going to diversify quite a bit. We see that Hispanic population increases, other, and then I believe we got two or more. Other would include Asian, American Indian, and anything else that's just not classified because there's just so few of them, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So like just over here, this, like you asked that good question. It's not exactly labeled because there's so much on this dashboard, but if you hover over any of these charts, it's going to tell you exactly what that category is and how many are in it. So I can see the slivers of household income within that block group for any of them.
Okay,
Does that
thank you.
help? Yep.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, so that's one use of a dashboard. quite powerful because it's delivering content about people and housing. We did the exact same thing for the entire state of Indiana and the places, so and individual towns and cities. So if I wanted to compare the city of Anderson, I could click on Anderson and get all the entire city's data about it. It's below high school, it's housing vacancy, it's receiving food stamps, it's unemployment, it's percent below poverty, and I could compare that to Muncie. And it's going to automatically update all the charts just like in the other one. But this allows you, the public, the decision makers of your city, to actually start comparing yourselves to other places that are comparable in demographics, total population, and location. So you can just pan your map and start deciding where you want to click and get data about. And you can see literally every location, every town, every city is on here. And the bigger the dot, the bigger the population. But you know, you could even look at the entire city of Indianapolis and their summary. It's going to tell you that the total population for 2017 in the city of Indianapolis is 853,431. And that's interesting to me because I can compare that to Carmel, compare it to Noblesville, Fishers, Lawrence. Anywhere I want to click on the map, I'm going to get all of the information that I want about it. If I clear the map over here, I can list out Indiana places with over 50,000, and I can see their severity score based upon where they're at. And I can click on Anderson and it's automatically going to change that. I can click on Gary and it's going to tell me all the information about Gary. I can click about Muncie. As you can see, it's interactive, it's powerful, it's changing data lifetime. And as soon as new census data is delivered, we can create that content. Another example of a dashboard, which is very relevant right now, is we are working very closely with the health department. I want to show this briefly, but this is powerful because we are helping first responders know where cases and timeline of COVID cases are. I have a point for every single positive case in the entire county, and I can see and summarize by community who has the most. I can do it by zip code. I have a total. I can see a daily count on a timeline from when it started to its highest peak to yesterday, and it's updated every 24 hours.
Can you go into Madison County and see the highest zip code with positive cases?
Yeah, the two highest are 46064 and 46012. Each of them have in the 60s. And then it severely drops off after that. But over here on this screen, you can see the zip code cases. 46064 has the most, and 46012 has the second most by like 2. There's only 2 separating them. And then it also does it by the community. Anderson, Pendleton, Alexandria, Summitville, Elwood, and then Frankton is, I just did the top 6 because the rest of the communities literally have like 0 or maybe 1 or 2 cases.
Well,
So,
what did Anderson
do what?
How many positive cases did Anderson have?
200 and hold on, 255 right now. and over 60 of them are at one address. I'll let you. I'll
You
let
have
you
data on how
analyze
many
that.
people have been tested?
Do what?
You have data on how many people have been tested?
The health department does not right now that I can get access to. I'm asking for it daily because the more I can get, the better these dashboards become, because I can show that, you know, how many people are actually pass or fail on that. And I could create a chart on that as well. So that's something I wish I had. It's a good question.
Hey, Paul,
Yes,
this is Tammy, a kind of a sidebar question, if you will, but relevant. Is any of this information or data that you're using, is it connected, is it used like 5G to help gather, like some of those cameras and stuff that you are utilizing? Is any of that on that 5G? Or is this 4G, or how is it pulling in the data?
If it's in the field right now, it's not 5G yet. The technologies, we don't have the technology there yet, but LTE, which is just, you know, whatever you would call 4G or whatever now, is we use it all the time, whether that be individual GIS applications out in the field with iPads, iPhones, Android devices, or live feeds from cameras that we have deployed for like traffic counts or traffic analysis. And then our web servers are all talking to like the county dispatch or E911 servers. So it all gets updated almost lifetime for most of these dashboards.
Okay, thank you.
As long as there's a data connection, these will update automatically.
Okay.
Like the one for the COVID, it's not live. I'm manually doing that because of security reasons that the health department has asked me to maintain. But you know, a lot of these other ones are live data, and once I set that data connection once, I never have to do it again. And that's what makes it powerful, especially if you have people in the community or a work crew or a entire workforce updating data all the time. Then these dashboards are constantly updated for management or you know, mayors or town managers or city council, town council, whoever needs to be looking at this data. That way they're making decisions based upon the latest content. They don't even have to ask somebody to give it to them anymore, because all they have to do is have this one place they go and they see all the live content.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So we have, I mean, so many dashboards we're creating because everybody's asking for them. We have a dashboard created for the town of Fortville with their utility data that they can filter out their hydrants, their water mains, their meters, their valves, all by manufacturer, by size, by you know, gallons per minute, by their static pressures. All of it can be filtered out, and that the town manager or the water department manager can actually know exactly what the field crew's doing at that moment, because they can filter out work by date. So they can see, you know, they could literally do a timeline of daily work being done in the field, because it's basically creating a work order every time they change something out in the field. That goes back to your live question, is how is this being updated? And it's being updated by live GIS content that is being edited by personnel out in the field. Same way with the one below this one is we're helping the town of Pendleton map out their building permits. So as a building permit comes in, you know, it's classified as residential or commercial work, the address, the parcel number, and you know, estimated cost of construction. And we can filter all this out by date, by year, by those types and start delivering that content back to the town manager, and they know exactly what they're doing and they can present that at their town council meetings. So they're informed about development that is in progress, whether that be residential or commercial at that time from the last meeting. And it makes everything so much easier because that's the only thing they need to look at. They can pull that up in a presentation, they can pan around the map, they can click on the individual points. Building inspectors can add pictures to the permit point. So as things are being built, they can attach pictures, and as those pictures are added, it's lifetime. It automatically updates the dashboard. Another one that we specifically did here recently for within the city of Anderson is we were working with the CED, looking at demographics, looking at vacant properties, and looking at where the city has already gone through and demolished vacant or completely, abandoned homes. And we're looking specifically at the 46016 area code, which you can see on this map. But on this map, I was able to overlay all that other demographic data so we can see that where the work is being done, and all these red parcels are actually listed on the commissioners or tax sale. So you can start looking where you might be able to go buy a chunk of property if you are an investor, or the county might think about working with the city and saying, why don't we go in and grab this huge chunk, put it back on the tax roll, and put something there so we can start generating revenue with it again. Does that make sense on that project and why we did it? And here, like, this map changes the delinquent taxes and penalties within the area of it. So if I wanted to focus on that block group, these 14s have a really high index score because of their demographic details. I could keep going in here and I can see the vacant or the all the properties that are on tax sale and their amounts.
Now, what area?
We are looking here between Jackson and Central, and we are around the 23rd, 19th to 23rd area, down to 25th. But the point of this is I don't have to just stay in this one area. I can go anywhere I want within this zip code and see all those parcels available on tax sale, and essentially start knowing how much it would take to get them all back on tax sale.
This is Anika. Hi, Paul. Have you had any traction with this project yet, with the tax sale information?
We had huge traction, and then COVID hit. And quite honestly, everybody that was involved in that project probably is not leaving their home right now. So I'm really hoping to get that rolling again. I'm not really the project lead. I'm just the guy delivering data to those investors and the city who's making decisions.
No, that actually looks good. Who is the project lead on that project?
I don't know. Rob Sparks is who I helped the most with on that, but I forget the other guy's name. John something was really pushing hard and working with the county to think about literally donating these parcels to the city so the city can actually do something with them. So, but you know how those projects go. They're tough. So hopefully, once people can meet again, we can start, fine tuning this. As part of this project, we actually delivered them a tool set to start doing field verifications and data with GIS, so they can take pictures and fill out property surveys of anything that could be of interest or of, a potential, essentially.
And Paul, this is Tammy. When
Yeah.
you guys say traction, what exactly do you mean?
People who have money that want to help make the city a better place.
Gotcha.
Yep. And I am all in favor of helping folks like that. I'm all in favor of helping anybody that wants to know anything. But when it comes to wanting to improve the housing stock of our community, that is amazing.
Right. And of course, that's what I'm most interested in,
Yep.
be it the role that I play.
Yes, and just like you see in this dashboard, you can see how the percentage of ownership to renters in this area within this map that we're looking at. It's almost all renter. And one of the topics of discussion with a lot of these projects is, how do you get homeowners in these areas confident to invest in their properties? And how do you convince somebody to buy in that neighborhood? And how do you get the renters in a situation that they can buy, maybe not now, but in the future? How do you get them educated? How do you get them in trades? How do you get them, up from the biggest percentage of population has only a high school education? And that's okay if they're moving on and getting a trade, but the data is saying that they're not. So, yeah,
We'll
all of
leave,
this data just leads to better decision making.
yeah, we'll leave that topic for a later discussion, because there's a
Yep.
lot of things that come in.
There's so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so many parties that have interest in that conversation that, that's all next steps of a project like that, is getting, the correct parties involved that have the influence and ability to actually make it happen. So, gosh, I could go on forever with how these things are useful. Do you guys have any questions or want to see anything else? We even have a dashboard for death certificates for the entire county of Anderson. You can see where they died, you can see where they live, what they died from, their age, their education attainment, their,
Can you show that dashboard?
Yeah.
To see where we're losing population at?
yeah, that's kind of hard to tell from this, because it's obviously going to be, well, this is where people died. This dashboard is, so like the bulk of people in the city of Anderson are actually dying in the hospitals, not at
Okay.
home. Where
Okay.
it's kind of interesting, you look at the rest of the county, and there's a lot more home deaths. Elwood's scary. I'm telling you what, they either die at the hospital or they're all dying at home. There's something weird going on up there. But that's why we look at this data is, you know, what's going on in that community where Anderson looks pretty normal. You know, we have a lot at community. We have a lot downtown at St. John's, and then a few just scattered deaths throughout the city that are home. But, you know, as you move that map, you can see the breakdown of, you know, the race of the people who died, their education attainment, where they died, whether they died in the hospital, emergency room, a care facility, or at their house. And then down here, you can see the age at time of death, which is kind of crazy. We go down to, you know, which is sad, but you can go down to literally hours of life to, I think our oldest person that died was like 103 or something like that. So, but we're trying to do this update for the health department every month. So we're not only just looking at the place of death, but we actually map out the place of residence. So where did that person live? Because you know, we're hoping to start looking at those causes of deaths closer to have a health impact study of our communities and be able to see maybe pockets of heart disease, of cancer, of lung disorders, and all of those causes of deaths are actually listed here. Anything you can imagine that somebody died from, we can filter the data by. It's just so powerful to do it that way. And it helps the health department when they're starting to do reports for their top main causes of death. Pretty cool stuff, if you ask me. And hopefully, after this, our goal is to get in front of the Community Health Partners Network, which includes the hospital, includes United Way, includes several other, you know, community leaders, and present this data and start getting the hospital data tied into all of this as well. So we won't, you know, it's just one more layer of data to help you as decision makers get a better picture of what your community actually looks like. Because we can start looking at population like we were talking about before. We can start looking at income. We can start looking at the housing, health. We can tie our accident database into it and start looking at safety analysis for the built environment. All of it's powerful. And how you can start attracting better development patterns, and how you can start your infill development, which is so vital for the city of Anderson.
Well, Paul, I
Yep.
just want to say that this has been excellent for
Thank you.
me. And we can surely use this type of information on a regular basis when making decisions.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can send Lance the bill. Lance?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I've been wanting to be able to show a lot of this to so many people for a long time. I think the biggest thing for you guys is to go to our website, go to that GIS page, click on your Anderson demographic dashboard and start there. Start playing with it, start getting familiar with it, and then if there's anything that comes to question, if there's anything that you would like to see additionally added or as another layer or another dashboard, just get with me. My contact information's listed right here. I will gladly put this presentation and slideshow up online for people to be able to see and view. And those dashboards will have those links within them. So if you wanted to follow along the presentation again, you could click on it and go through it as I'm talking about it, just like I did. Because it's all powerful stuff, and anything that the city of Anderson has that you guys would like to see in this type of format, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. That's what we're here for. That's what we love to do. We feel underutilized, and we just want to help as much as possible.
Well, I
Paul,
appreciate
thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Paul, this is Lindsey Brown. You provided some enlightful information, and I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah,
I mean,
no problem.
There's information that anybody can use to help
Yes.
make the city better, and I really greatly appreciate you taking the time and showing us exactly where this information is and how we can utilize it. Thank you, buddy.
Al, no problem. Anytime you guys want something like this, or once everybody gets out and about, if you wanted me to do it in person at another council meeting or anything you want, I can make it shorter. Obviously, I don't need to preach like I did tonight, but yeah.
Well, Paul, I was serious about, we do have a training educational budget. Lance doesn't have his mic on, but I didn't know if he spoke to you about that.
And that's okay. If if we
training.
decide to do it again, and you guys want more hands-on training, then we can talk about that, because I have no problem hosting it where you guys bring your own laptops into our office once this COVID stuff is over, and we could do hands-on training that way. That way it's all answers are questioned, or all questions are answered.
I would love that. And
Yeah.
we have our, well, Don, I don't know if you ever got yours, but the rest of us have them.
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
I mean, a lot
You
of
did?
this is
I have not.
overwhelming if you're not used to dealing with those interactive applications and stuff. But like I said, if you wanted to set up something in person when all this is over, our conference room seats quite a few people. If it doesn't seat enough, our basement seats a lot. And we could set up with laptops and workstations and a big screen downstairs and help out whoever wants help.
Well, Lance doesn't have his mic on, but he
Well, it's
is the
on.
president.
About money, so I'm just not talking right now.
That makes sense.
Oh, okay.
I do the same thing.
Was free. So the next one, I would love to see us, if we ever get back to normal again, to look at something like this, because there was a lot of helpful information. That helps me understand, the city, what they have to do. Looking, this information is very helpful in making decisions about
Yep.
what has to be.
In a lot of areas, a lot of different areas.
Coming in and talking, I've always tell people if they have any question regarding maps and stuff, especially early on, I use MCCOG forever. Did not know they had this much information. So what you have compared to was, gosh, when I was using it for land map and stuff 2 years ago is pretty unbelievable. So
Yeah.
I do appreciate you contacting us to talk to us about this. So
Well,
very
absolutely.
informational.
Anytime, anybody at the city, any, council, whether it be, employees, anybody that you think could or should be using this, please just have them reach out, or we'll set up another one of these for them as well. I don't care when it is. So.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Anybody have any other questions for Paul?
Nope.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and everybody stay healthy, and hope to talk soon.
Okay, thanks,
Thank you
Paul.
for your time.
No
Thank
problem.
you. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Great presentation.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay, I'm trying to leave. All right, here we go.
I am too.